Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're explaining why Clark County's population growth is actually slowing down, why Nevada won't be voting first in the 2028 presidential election, and diving into beavers in Las Vegas. Yes, you heard me right, beavers in Vegas, and how they relate to some of our most underrated outdoor spaces in the valley. It's Tuesday, July 28th. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. All right, today we're joined by Vogue Robinson, artist and former host of CityCast Las Vegas. We're stoked to have you back on the show. Vogue, how's it going?
It's going great. Nice to be back.
Heck yeah, it's great to have you on. I'm excited for this convo today. And also to our creative producer, Jacob Solis. He's jumping in as well. Jacob, how we doing, man?
Doing well, surviving the heat best I can.
Yeah, aren't we all, right? I mean, this is
low.
the time of the year where we're like, oh yeah, we do live in Vegas and it is very, very hot. So much, in fact, that planes are having trouble taking off and they're having to load people off the planes. Like I saw over at the Las Vegas airport that they were saying that they were taking like half the people off the plane by some airlines, and they were offering vouchers to people to basically like bow out and volunteer to be taken off the plane. I've seen numbers thrown around of $1,600 and $2,500 for some vouchers. News 3 reported somebody was offered $2,500. So would you guys take that?
Yes.
Right? I would have taken it at $1,600. $2,500 is a lot of money for a travel voucher, right?
I mean, I guess it's not the same as just straight up cold hard cash, but yeah. I was just at the Jersey airport for like 10 hours, but it was flying to Vegas, but there were two different flights, and it was cute. All the people were applauding when we finally got home.
That's great.
Vouchers are evil to me because it's like, just give me money. Just give me money. Like, I see what you're doing here. Oh, a voucher, a little coupon for fake money, dollar reduce that only exists to American Airlines. Whatever.
Passing out Monopoly money out here.
Yeah, I would not. Get me on the plane. Someone else can take the fake money.
That's fair. You know, and also, too, it depends where you're trying to go. Like, if you're trying to go somewhere cool, true. You're like, I got to get there. But if it's like a wedding for a friend that you don't really like that much, and maybe it's going to be a boring wedding.
What?
Sorry. They're kicking me off the plane, you know? Like, I don't know what to do. I got to stay in Vegas longer. I don't know. Just saying. I've got great friends, but some of them know who they are that I might be willing to jump off the plane. Just saying.
No love for the basics at a boring wedding with people you don't even like. Damn.
Sometimes it happens, you know? Weddings are just like, I don't know. I love weddings, but I also hate them sometimes. But that's a topic for another day, I guess, right? So with that, let's get things rolling today. And we are actually talking about population growth going down in the valley, right? Vogue, pretty crazy because we've been trending up for so long.
Yeah, like since the 1970s, we were trending up. So we had like 5 decades of Clark County outpacing population growth. And so that's the thing that kind of makes this weird. And I was writing stuff about it. I was like, our population growth is slowing to a Mojave Max pace. Like
that's great. See? Yeah.
But it's from UNLV's Center for Business and Economic Research. And so for me, I'm like, well, it sounds reasonable for us to grow to 3 million people by 2055. Like that sounds reasonable. But the original forecast said 2045. So that's like a 10-year decrease on that major like population growth. And the other things that are interesting about it is that like Clark County has had growth that's been pretty steady. Like the pandemic didn't take us out. The recession didn't take out the amount of population growth. So the question is, okay, well, then what is creating this major slow? And it's multiple factors, as always. There's many reasons.
Yeah, right. You got to put that cap on.
Right. I know.
The data says.
Per my research. But the death and birth rates are seen to like tap out. So basically, it's like, we're not making babies and people are passing away. And pretty soon, the people being born in Clark County is going to decrease. And we have the people who are moving here are actually people who are retirees. So they also are kind of on a trajectory to the ground.
Yeah, well.
They know they're on the way. I mean, like, I don't know. I have so many. I
keep it real, you know?
Like, I know I have so many older adults who are my friends who are like, I'm on the second half of my life. I got about 2 decades left. Like, they keep hitting me with the realness of mortality.
Sometimes keeping it too real, yeah.
Man, but it's like their full-time reality. But it makes sense for people who are retiring to come here, especially if they have a different, if they don't want to live through snow. But on the flip side of that. So yeah, international migration also has decreased. So less people are moving to Clark County to stay. So those combos are what is creating the issues. And the real estate people, I think, are probably the most like skittish about it, because
Definitely.
all of these projections, these forecasts are how decisions are made, right? So they're deciding, okay, well, how much more housing do we need? How many more businesses do we need to be creating? And so it's shifting a lot of the people's perspectives. I don't know. It's kind of nice to consider the squeamishness because from what I was reading, it said like that. This also means that the county will need to focus on other components of infrastructure. So we'll have to focus on healthcare. We'll have to focus on different components of job growth. There's going to be a lot more things that we'll need to focus on to increase the quality of living here if we're going to make it more attractive. And I vote yes on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jacob, what's your take on it? I mean, are we like less attractive, I guess, than we used to be? Pairing it, like as Vogue said, there's a lot of factors that go into this, but at the end of the day, too, we got to make it more attractive to come here, right?
And I think there's really two main things because to a certain extent, right, I think Nevada has always struggled with its school systems. It has never been particularly good. And so you look at like, why do people come here? It's never for the schools. And so once you remove the things that are attractive, namely the affordability piece, right, Nevada is still more affordable than California, right? But there are other major metros in similar states where it is more affordable than Nevada.
Yeah, it's balancing out more, yeah.
Yeah, and so you see people, and the sort of tax-free nature of it, I mean, lots of people move to Nevada because it's tax-free, no income tax rather, but, people do the same with Texas or Florida, and, is Nevada more attractive than Texas or Florida? And oftentimes the answer is no, again, because the school system is so bad. Healthcare is so bad. And not
if you
only
own real estate, though, you don't want to move to Texas, particularly Dallas, their property taxes are through the roof, so we're more attractive there at least, yeah.
I know, it's like, that is, Jacob, why would you say that? That hurt my heart. We're still more attractive.
And I think the weather, like, look, I love Vegas. I would so much rather take a dry heat. It's like 100 whatever degrees outside. I don't care.
Humidity
dry heat
sucks.
I hate humidity, but I do think Vegas is getting hotter. The nights are getting hotter. And so electricity bills are going to get worse for people. And there's like all these compounding factors that say like, okay, do I want to move to like, I don't know, the Midwest or Vegas? People might say, well, I might move for Vegas to a little bit, but I'm not going to stay in Vegas. And I think that's a really big compounding problem.
We're a transient city, right? Like so many people talk about us being a transient city. And I think it looked like we were trending in a different direction where people were coming here and maybe we're going to stay and lay down roots, And so now it almost is like, okay, is it balancing back to that? I'm so curious to see what the future is going to look like for us in that regard. But to your point too, like weather, like that's the great equalizer. What's the conversation everybody always has if you don't have anything to talk about? You talk about the weather. Well, Vegas doesn't rank too highly on the weather, at least in the summer months. I will say, I feel like we get a bad rap in that regard, right? Like outside of the summer months, it's pretty damn good out here.
9 months of perfect weather.
Hockey players. Yeah.
300 days of sun.
Exactly. Like the guys on the Golden Knights, they talk about it all the time. Like they love living here. Granted, they come from places that are freezing cold most of the time. But I think we got it pretty good in that area. I'm so curious to see, though, the housing situation because I know we've had so much trouble unlocking more land to build and things like that. That's something that needs to change. We've got a children's hospital on the horizon. Maybe that helps with drawing more like high income jobs and things like that here in the future. But I wonder how it all kind of plays out. But my big question in all this, too, like, is it a good thing or a bad thing for us that we're slowing down? Because, Vogue, to your point, like we were trending arrow up in that area for so long. Now it's balanced out. Do we like this? Do we hate it? Like, what's the reasoning of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for us?
I think it's a good thing. And it's interesting you brought up like unlocking land because a good portion of the state of Nevada is under BLM. It's under the Bureau of Land Management. And then so much of it is, set aside and designated for different like sacred purposes and national monuments, and then Red Rock Canyon as well. And I feel like Red Rock is a really clear example of like, it did kind of continuously get chiseled away and utilized but for who? So I think what I would love to see now that there's a slower pace where we're not just like, I don't know, I just think about, if you're carrying too many things, or I imagine like a conveyor belt with a bunch of stuff coming at you really, really fast.
And so spills over,
there's no way to manage all of these people that are coming in. So I can't think about how I'm going to manage you. My job is to just put you somewhere or hopefully find a location. I think if the conveyor belt is slowed down, then now, okay, we can make categories. We can look at the areas where people are deciding to live and say, okay, maybe we do need another hospital here. Like our park system is phenomenal and there's so many awesome places to go. But yeah, does that mean that we make this more family friendly as a city, not talking about the Strip, but other places around town. So I think it gives us a chance to breathe. As an on the go human being, like, please give me a nap. As the city that never sleeps, can we get a nap? I vote yes on the nap. So
I think that's a great way to frame it. Yeah, as a nap. Like, Jacob, is that how you're viewing this? Like, is it a break for us to sit back, reassess, and be like, hey, we had all this growth. Now let's figure out what to do with it.
I think to some extent, yeah, because if you look at like when was the real boom period for Vegas, and I think the 90s is the obvious answer. You have SNPLMA right at the federal level, which opens up all of this federal land for development. But in a way that was like a blessing and a curse because, okay, they can develop all this land, but they kind of just went haywire with, you know, building all these single family homes and cookie cutter like neighborhoods that all kind of feel the same. And like if you go to a neighborhood that was built in the 90s, everything truly does feel the same. You will see the same bathroom copy and pasted everywhere. And people know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so like, I think that has compounding problems with like infrastructure and transit. And like you look at the way that like the 215 Beltway was built out essentially in the 90s and early 2000s, or it was the early 2000s when they did it. But the as a means to sort of get people out to these suburbs that were exploding in Green Valley and Spring Valley in the 80s, all these places, right? And so now, 20 years later, we're suffering from the sort of consequences of all of these huge roads to nowhere, quote unquote, right? That we don't have walkable anything. We don't have infrastructure that feels good to live in. And that's a problem.
Cute little public transit system, you know,
as a treat.
Well,
we
they tried that,
as a
but people
treat.
aren't too happy with this one.
Well, we would like a better one.
Yeah, a real one, right?
Right. I guess my point is that you can grow too quickly, right? And there can be strain from growing too quickly. And I think the city did see that in the 90s and early 2000s. That said, the engine needs to continue, right? Because seeing a city decrease is, I don't think, what anyone wants, right? That deflation is bad, right? I think we've seen with metros like Detroit when you can really suffer from like urban blight and things and sort of losing the economic engine that sort of powers everything still makes it harder to solve all those problems that exist with all these people now. And so you do want it to keep going.
I watched a video from like 3 years ago that was showing our population increase, and it like showed, it was from the Review Journal, but it showed the population increase on the map, but it also showed like Lake Mead shrinking. And I just, you know, there's a little part of me that's like, I'm okay with us slowing down so we can leave the lake. We take such a small percentage of the Colorado anyways, and we're so good at recycling water. We're like the best, but it's still going.
That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, less people, hopefully less water consumed. So maybe that's the spin zone positive way to look at it for sure. But we'd love to hear from all of you guys out there listening to us. Get in on the fun here. Shoot us a text at 702-514-0719. Again, that's 702-514-0719. We want to hear from you. Do you think it's good or bad that our population growth is slowing in a sense? To, you know, Vogue's point there, to leave more water for all of us that are already here, you know? Hopefully that's the case. With temperatures hitting triple digits, checking in on an aging parent or loved one becomes more than a nice gesture. It's about safety. Dehydration and heat exhaustion hit seniors fast, and a regular caregiver in-home means someone's actually there to notice the signs. And that's where Touching Hearts comes in. Touching Hearts at Home is a locally owned home care agency right here in the Las Vegas Valley. For them, care is both a promise and a practice, with caregivers who are trained, background checked, and thoughtfully matched to each family. Touching Hearts at Home serves seniors, people living at home with medical conditions or disabilities, or anyone over the age of 18 who can benefit from the help of a professional caregiver. So head to touchinghearts.com/Henderson to set up a free consultation, or give them a call at 702-514-0908. That's 702-514-0908. And say local, and they'll walk you through what support could look like for your family. And if you mention CityCast, you'll get 15% off your first month of service. Okay, so we talked about population. Now let's hit politics. For that, we turn it over to our man Jacob here, as we've got some interesting developments here for us with the 2028 election and the fact that we're not going to be going first.
Yeah, back to Jacob's politics sicko hour. So
this is a recurring segment. I love it.
Jacob.
Yes. This time it's because, yes, like you said, Nevada will not be first in the nation. This is a now, I think, in every 4 years humiliation ritual for the state of Nevada, where they pretend that they might make Nevada first and then don't. It's all very exciting. So South Carolina will be first in the calendar in 2028. They were first in 2024. So in the next 2 years, it'll be South Carolina, then Nevada, then New Hampshire, New Mexico, Michigan, and Virginia, and then Super Tuesday. So this is a huge blow to Nevada Democrats who, like I mentioned, have been trying to make Nevada first in the nation for years and years. This goes all the way back to 2008 when, the Harry Reid machine sort of got Nevada to be first in the West, which was a sort of consolation prize at the time. They got very close in 2020, but again, no cigar. They ended up sort of still being first in the West. And then in 2024, again, very close, but Joe Biden, you may remember, was saved by South Carolina in the 2020 presidential election. And Nevada, tisk tisk, voted for Bernie Sanders in that election. And so they said
punishment,
no.
Huh?
In 2024, it certainly felt like it. I don't think anyone would say that out loud, but that's what it felt like.
I just did.
Yeah. And so now this year, there was a lot of hope that 2024 was a nightmare for the Democrats for a lot of reasons. Finally, Nevada will get its due. For a long time, the state leaders have touted how diverse the state is, that it's very working class, that it's purple, that it's competitive, that essentially any candidate who can make it in Nevada can make it nationwide.
I just saw a Horsford ad that was like, if you can do it in Nevada.
Yeah. Exactly. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So
there you go.
But the thing is it never works like that, does it? So basically, at a big party meeting, the concern was that Nevada wouldn't be able to count its votes fast enough, that there wouldn't be a clear winner on election night. Now, obviously, 2020, yeah, that was not good for Nevada in that department, nor was it in 2022, nor even a little in 2024. But it has been getting better
here.
Yeah, but it's been getting better over time, and party leaders promised more elections reform to make it go faster. That said, these primaries are not nearly as many votes as, like a big election. So I quibble with this. Again, I suspect, and this was thrown out in the Nevada Independent article that I'll be referencing, we'll link in the show notes, that it's still a little bit punishment for 2020 and voting for Bernie Sanders. Some party leaders are a little trepidatious that some insurgent candidate might be able to win Nevada. And I mentioned 2020. Bernie won Nevada with 40% of the vote. To that point, winning a state in 2020 in those early primaries was getting 20%, 22%. When Bernie got 40, that was whoa, what's going on here? And then Biden won 50% of South Carolina, and the rest is history. So yeah, I think it's just really fascinating, especially because, and I think I mentioned this earlier, the real secret here is that Michigan and Virginia are at the end of this sort of early tranche of states, which means that more than ever, these sort of huge states, Virginia for the DMV, DC metro area, and Michigan for being the sort of, Rust Belt, rusty part of this calendar, they're going to decide a lot heading into Super Tuesday based on a lot of analysis that's out there right now. So just we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, very interesting stuff for sure. Vogue, do you kind of feel like we got the short end of the stick in all this? How are you wrapping your head around this?
Ew. I think, every time we deal with election stuff, it's always purple, purple as opposed to gray. And this is the way that our state goes. I think it is trash that we're not first. And I think there were a lot of really good points made about why, that Nevada really is kind of a solid sample of what our nation has to offer. And we're one of the most diverse places. And it made me think about Hamilton and the arguments about where they should put the capital, where they should put the nation's capital. But the efficiency of counting, you can't argue with that. I think it took 4 days last time for them to figure out the votes because we still have mail-in ballots, which I think we should have.
Our school system's bad after all. Just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Look, I think if they just put casino workers, if people who manage the casino, they
could definitely count.
The counting would be done and it would be mad efficient. And so I just think the wrong people are in the wrong positions. However, being second isn't too bad. And I don't know. I saw something where one of the South Carolina politicians said that essentially that people would be wanting to lean into Nevada because of the Latino vote. And then that would be saying that they didn't care about the Black voters in South Carolina. And the boiling down of like the science of political science really gets messy when you're there, when you boil down one place, you distill one place down to one demographic when it has several. And so that conversation really kind of made me feel really yucky. And I wish that there were other ways for the politicians to show up and act like they cared, or I don't know, like properly put forward a foot that said, I'm trying to understand what the people need, as opposed to I'm trying to figure out what to say so that you vote for me.
And haven't seen anyone say this, but I do think it's probably a point of annoyance for the Democratic Party leaders here in Nevada that it's sort of pitting Black voters against Latino voters. Because frankly, there's a lot of powerful Black Democrats in Nevada who are trying to, something like 10% of Nevada is Black, and obviously a larger share of that are Democratic voters. So they're pointing to that demographic and say, you want to cater to Black voters, you can do it here too.
Yeah, and so Jacob, you're alluding to the fact of like, maybe not the best strategy for Democrats here, right? And Vogue, I think you would agree. You were kind of alluding to that a bit, but how bad of a strategy do you think this is?
If I were a politician and I knew, okay, certain places maybe I wouldn't be able to sway, but the places where I knew, okay, there was a little bit of wiggle room, like I would want to start there. I would want to gain their favor. I want to ask questions and see like what is that middle ground? Because I think what it means is that there is more overlap of what people want, regardless of the political party that they're signed up to. I feel like we don't even fully be in allegiance to a party. You just sign the paperwork so you can show up and like participate in the caucus process. But it's so that you're remembered. I think, for us as Nevadans, it means we get first access to these politicians to say, hey, this is what our concerns are. This is what we want. And so I think, you should start with the people who are going to be mulling it over for a long time, because there's this margin of maybe I could change my mind. And you playing games. You over there in South Carolina, have fun over there. Yeah.
And to Vogue's point, I think one of the interesting things here is that, is South Carolina really the crucible that will define the next president of the United States, right? Because for a long time, Iowa was first. People may remember Iowa used to be first, and Iowa being first created a lot of problems. But one of the interesting things it did was it forced presidential candidates to do retail politics on a mass scale. Iowa has 1 billion counties for 3 million people. And so you had to go out and shake hands and kiss babies. And so presidential candidates needed to be able to do that. Yeah. And so that's why Iowa produced dark horse candidates like Jimmy Carter, like Bill Clinton, and like Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the modern electorate is different, modern campaigns are run differently. And so some of this is moot, frankly, because of social media. But does a state like South Carolina necessarily produce the kind of candidates that are going to be able to translate whatever success they can get in South Carolina to other states? And I'm not sure that the answer is yes. I obviously think the answer in Nevada is yes, but certainly there's other states where the answer might be more yes than South Carolina. And I think that's really the question mark here.
I'm so curious to see kind of how it all pans out, come 2028 and as things really roll along there, but hopefully, like you said, Jacob, maybe we can break that trend of the reoccurring thing every handful of years of just being not punished, but dangle the carrot in front of us. First. Not just kidding.
Just
hopefully,
kidding.
Lucy. We can get that number one seat at some point here. All right, so let's keep it rolling and get outdoors a little bit here. Have you guys actually ever been down to the Clark County Wetlands Park?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty great, right? I really love them down there. For any of our listeners out there who haven't actually been, you really do need to go check them out. The wetlands are on the eastern edge of the valley. They're about 2 miles north of Sam Boyd Stadium, to kind of paint that picture for you. They're a 2,900-acre oasis, really, with miles of streams intertwined with hiking and biking trails. They're home to over 300 species of birds. That one really surprised me. I didn't realize there were 300 species of birds. That's a lot in that area in particular. And 70 species of mammals. And you heard us tease it at the beginning of the show. It also includes beavers. How many people knew that we had beavers in Vegas? I'd venture to believe not many folks out there. Natasha Majewski from the Nevada Current actually has a great article on all of this and how the beavers are actually playing a really critical role in restoring the river system down there that also works as a natural buffer in our water filtration process with Lake Mead as well. So just a vital area in general for our valley that I think people aren't as tapped in as they probably should be down there. But the beavers in particular are so interesting because their dams actually slow water flow, raise the water table, help filter out debris, reduce erosion, so many different things. Then they also kind of create a sponge-like effect that helps wetland vegetation grow back as well. So essentially, they're kind of like, nature's best water management engineers,
Yes.
Working down there with their hard hats. But the funny thing about it is that we've actually got really strict laws, obviously, on water, prohibiting things like blocking water flow when downstream users like Arizona and California have water rights, to what we've got up here. So technically, the beavers are breaking the law when they do their beaver things down there.
The laws don't apply to the beavers?
Yeah,
that's
right?
For
they should
humans.
get a pass, right?
Okay?
I mean, they're just out there doing what they got to do.
Beavers are beavering, okay?
Exactly. Let them continue to beaver. For the folks that are out there, they're like, what are you going after the beavers for? We just found out we had them, But I think like the wetlands in general are just so intriguing. But again, with beavers in particular, like I had no idea that we had them down here until I went down to the wetlands, and my mom and I parked in the parking lot to go start cruising around to go check out the hikes and everything down there. And they have a gigantic beaver in the playground over there. And I was like, what? At first we thought it was a squirrel as we were like walking up from a ways away, and we roll up on it. And I was like, oh, that's a beaver. I'm like, wait, we have beavers in Las Vegas? Like, it was crazy. So did you guys, like, how long have you guys known that we have beavers here in Las Vegas? Or when did you find out? Like, what was that moment like for you? Because I would imagine it's a moment you remember, right? At least I would hope so.
I don't know if it was an unknown or a thing I didn't think about as much because I've been there multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a beaver.
I haven't actually seen one
in
either,
Nevada. I haven't seen one living in Nevada, but I think
I was looking for them.
I'm a big nerd about their visitor center. And so I'm pretty sure the visitor center like talks about it. They also have like different things where you can find out like what the scat looks like, a bunch of different animals. And there's like a giant little snake reptile, but I don't think I've seen one. So I haven't thought about it as much.
Man, it wasn't a core memory for you when you found out. I'm a little disappointed. Jacob,
No.
What about you? I mean, did you learn about it in school or what? Like,
No.
Come on, what was the deal here?
No, I learned about it embarrassingly recently. I will not name how recently, but I think the
Good.
thing
At least
it is
I'm
true.
not
It's just, it does. I mean, it feels like you have to go to the wetlands to even learn that they're there, because without that, why would you ever consider a beaver to be a desert creature as such? But I do think this points to the wetlands being such a fascinating place, because in the article gets into it that like this is why they called Las Vegas the Meadows in the first place when they got here. They were
I feel like you
wow,
have to say it like that too. The Meadows, like you
the
have to,
Meadows, yes. And so it is indicative of, I think, like an older primordial Las Vegas that like something that's been lost over time. And I do think it's nice that the beavers are part of that. And they are, having just watched, what is that Pixar movie, Hoppers? They really are putting on those hard hats. Beavers are crazy.
Yeah, no, they really are. Our executive producer, Layla, actually tells me, too, that the wetlands have beaver walks. So got to get on that and
Oh my God, we have
see
to go.
them for ourselves. Yeah, so I will definitely be signing up for that because like you, Jacob, it took me way too long to find out. I used to live down in Henderson, not too far from the wetlands, and I would actually walk down like the parts that actually run closer to Lake Las Vegas, the trails along there, along the river itself, and had no idea. And it wasn't until like April when my mom came and visited that we went out there to the wetlands themselves. And I was like, oh my God, like mind blown there. And I think it just kind of powers home like how underrated I think that area is in particular, the wetlands. Because again, there are so many hiking and biking trails that weave all throughout there. And like, yeah, it's probably too hot to go do it now, but like on times when the weather's decent, like it's actually shaded and stuff through a lot of the areas too. Like there's some tree canopy and things like that. It's gorgeous, great place for a picnic. Like if you want to do a cool date or something next to the water, like just super cool. And it just got me thinking.
There's a bridge that you can like that overlooks a whole entire area, and then it kind of the water slows down and tapers out.
Oh yeah.
And we saw like a heron, and we just sat there for like 5 minutes waiting to figure out what it was, and then it like fully expanded its wings. So there's so much there for sure.
There's so much. I forget which governor it was. I think at one point there was someone that talked about like Nevada being a gross barren desert or something like that a while ago in the news. Like this was like maybe a year or two ago. And like I laugh every time I think of that because I go down to places like the wetlands or places where we do have really crazy outdoor scenes. And I'm like, oh yeah, a barren wasteland. Like my ass. Like we have all this awesome stuff out here that people are kind of sleeping on. And so I'm curious for you guys, like what are some of the areas that you think are like very underrated outdoor spaces here in the Valley? Because again, I think this is an area in particular that people are sleeping on.
So I just went to the Blue Diamond Library, and not like the street Blue Diamond. There is a village. It's like certified as a village in Clark County called Blue Diamond. So you drive past Red Rock and you just keep going. And then it'll be like, you're now entering the village of Blue Diamond. And they have like this cool little soccer park, their library, and it's next door to this cute restaurant. that served some really delicious cinnamon rolls. But I was talking to the librarian and he was like, yeah, so there's just burros that just walk through the town. I said, excuse me? What do you mean, bro? He was like, yeah. I was
Just
like, donkeys? He's like, no. Burros, bro. I was like, you're tripping. He's like, when you leave, you'll see, right? Like, hit the R's. He was like, the burros. And I was like, excuse me? So I'm leaving, and sure enough, this soccer field that's definitely like a public park and part of the school because everything is everything. There's 4 different burros, like just on the green.
Soccer?
They're mowing the lawn. That's the natural. I was like, they are naturally fertilizing and mowing the lawn in the area. But it was so serene. So that's quiet and chill. And I don't even know how long that city, like that village has been there. But the fact that it's like certified as a village is wild to me. And so I feel like driving there is such an easy drive. You can go to Red Rock and then go to Blue Diamond and kick it and see some burros because they love it there.
Add that to the list. Yeah. Jacob, what about you? Where do folks need to go? What's on your list?
I think I've got 2. One is if you're not trying to go anywhere, just +1 for Vegas parks. Parks across town, there are so many of them are just great. I mean, I live over by Cornerstone Park where there's a big pond, and so there's always geese flying by, honking.
Nonstop over there, yeah.
Oh, you better believe it's nonstop. But no, I mean, beyond the parks, though, I think there's a lot of nature just outside Vegas. You know, if you were to go... there's places like Beatty. Like, if you've ever driven to Reno, you've been through Beatty probably, or Beatty, but just incredible, like the way that like the mountains just become lush all of a sudden. Like, if you drive around Vegas, like obviously Red Rock, the wetlands, up on Mount Charleston, you go out into East Nevada up towards Ely, starting to get far away at that point, but like a lot of Nevada out into the Great Basin is lush and gorgeous and is the sort of quintessential like American desert that just like stops you in your tracks and you just have to like look at how like awesome, capital A, like original sense of the word awesome it is,
Yeah, I think that's the thing people do not realize enough, like how great of an outdoor state we are. I know Utah gets so much attention and like they are awesome. I'm not throwing shade at them one bit, but we definitely do not get our due for the outdoor spaces and the quality of those outdoor spaces and just the greenery as a whole within our state, within Las Vegas, like you name it. Again, go check out any park around town, especially out in Summerlin too. There's a lot of greenery in some of those. Pico Ranch in particular does not feel like a park that is, quote unquote in Las Vegas. So I just think people are sleeping on a lot of different areas. In the valley. So hopefully now people have a list of some places to check out. But before we go, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the events that you're doing, Vogue, because I know those are things that also need to be on people's, checklists as well. So what do you got going on? I know you're a lady that's involved in a whole lot around town.
Come indoors. So lately I've been
it's hot.
Yes. I've been in Henderson. So actually the first 3 weeks of August, every Tuesday and Thursday, I'll be doing a creative aging pour painting workshop. So I'll be kicking it with somebody's grandma and grandpa. And we'll be doing, and pour painting is basically we dilute acrylic paint and like allow the paint to flow. And so it's like low risk, high reward, really enjoyable and engaging. And we journal as well. So other people can come, but really send me your grandmas, send me your abuelos. That's who I want to see. But I'll be at the downtown Henderson Senior Center. And so, that's August for me.
Every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, sweet. Yeah, make sure you guys check your calendars. Like she said, send your grandmas and even your grandpas over there as well. Get everybody involved in the fun. Yeah. I think that'll be awesome, Vogue. Thank you so much. I think that's an awesome event. Jacob as well. I feel like we hit on a lot of different things. We hit the population, the politics, and even the outdoor spaces and beavers. I don't know how often we're going to talk about beavers on the podcast, but I'm so stoked we got it in.
Yeah, that was lively. I love living here. Good to be on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Jesse.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, though, take care.